Morning, everybody. Another day of walking and talking with Ruby. Say good morning, Ruby. Today, we're talking about content. So I had a fantastic conversation with a fellow consultant in a quasi-similar related side of organizational development and advice. And we got really comfortable talking about how businesses, entrepreneurs, have a really hard time with the concept of content. And overused term, we know that. But more than that, it's trying to determine with your team, with your customers, actually what they want to see from you as a business. And I mentioned it in a previous video around this idea of phoning things in. So when you do what's expected of you, a lot of times that is uninteresting. It's not helpful to a customer. It's not helpful to your team. It's just kind of the stuff you talk about that's blasé. It's rinse and repeat. It's whatever you want to call it. So this discussion we were having, which is a great discussion, is this idea of building content that is really powerful for your customer, for your buyer, for your industry, whatever, and using that as a tool to extend the reach of your brand, and using that, on top of that, using that as a conversation starter when we're talking about sales and selling. So really, this is how we started the discussion, but then I started thinking about it, and it was like, this idea of content being something of value is really, it's an underutilized tool for many businesses. So this is the stuff that you can get into with your customers that really helps them make a better determination about who you are, what you do, why you do it, all that kind of stuff. But like really getting into that, and sometimes it's being funny and cute. And I posted on LinkedIn, Maximum Effort, Ryan Reynolds' former agency. I'm not sure if he's still engaged with it or not, but they did a commercial for Flock Freight, which is hilarious. I highly recommend you look it up. It is something that, as I said in my LinkedIn post, is not something that virtually any of the transportation companies, freight forwarders, freight companies that I've ever worked with, which is more than one, would ever have made for an ad. It's hilarious. You really need to look at it. A little potty language, but really good. Bleeped out potty language. Where I'm going with that is to say, if you think about content differently, and if you think about your customer as being the recipient of that content in a demand generation, I use this term all the time, in a demand generation world, they have to see you as something valuable. They have to see you as something important in their world, even if it's for 3 seconds, because that's the stuff that will keep you in the ecosystem of their minds when they're looking to make a buying decision. That's the end game here. That's the goal. Oh, sunshine. Wow. So where I'm going with that is to say, what really matters? Like, what is super interesting, even in a boring business? Like, what is super interesting that they would respond to, that they would jump in and say, this is amazing? Could be, frankly, it could be just showing, their experience with you as a business. Sometimes it's just solving their problems. They have problem X. Whether you solve that problem or not, talking about that problem and the potential solution to said problem is really valuable for them, because they need to know something and they're looking for that. And if they find it with you, well, isn't that a really short path to something? Could be a sale, could be a conversation, whatever. So this idea of content being some ethereal thing is not correct. It's really just about you and your team, marketing team, sales teams, whatever, sitting down and really figuring out what your customer wants to hear, and give it to them, in a funny way, an entertaining way, an educational way, whatever sort of fits for your business, because there's the differentiator. There's the thing that will get you more at bats. That's the thing that will get you an interested customer. Maybe not tomorrow, but again, when we start thinking long play here, It's a really fun way to start thinking about how do I get more value back to my customer in the shortest amount of time possible. And content is a super good way to do that. You just got to be smart about it. So anyway, Ruby, your content matters. Remember that. Walking and Talking with Ruby.